There you go.
All right, we have 1 minute, but it looks like we have quite a few people on board. That's wonderful. Let me just say second page. Well, thank you all for being here. This is fantastic. Before we get too far into it, I would like to thank you for taking the time, first of all. We're all busy, Sunday night, lots of other things going on, so I appreciate your time. And I would like to introduce our RLT. I would imagine most of you know at least some of them, but maybe not all of them. So I think it would be nice for you to put faces with names. And I hope I get everybody. I haven't seen everybody on yet, but maybe they're on page 2. We'll get started with Sue Middleton, who has been serving as our communications coordinator and our Zoom guru. Thank you, Sue. Next to me on my screen is Paula Davis, as I believe most know Paula. She's our directors coordinator. Jan Smallwood is our finance coordinator. And looking across, I see Sandy Smith, who is our education coordinator. Let me move over to the next page.
Patty has trying to get she'll be on soon. She's not there
Okay,
yet.
well, I just had a message from Michelle also, who wasn't sure about the link. Diane Jordan is serving as our membership coordinator. And I don't see Cherie. Have we heard from Cherie?
Not that let me check my email, but no.
I'll text her right now.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll get in touch with Patty.
Okay, and Patty. So we're waiting for Patty Martin, who's our events coordinator, Cherie Letts, who is our marketing coordinator, Michelle, why am I blanking on her last name? Michelle Clark, who is an associate RLT member in her second year. She's also working with the convention team.
Sue, I'm sorry, Sally. Cherie said she was waiting to be let in.
Okay.
There's not anything waiting.
No waiting to get in?
No.
He said Michelle and Patty are there as well.
The issue, Sue, is that what's in our RLT agenda isn't the link to this meeting.
Well,
and I think they're using that one.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay, I will email
We'll be
them.
able to send them to the other link.
At some point, yes.
Okay, thank you. We'll
Yep,
just
will
let you
do.
work on that, but they'll be joining us. I'm sure we'll figure this out. So I'm hoping all of you have had a chance at some point to watch the video or read about the changes that the RLT has made regarding our regional assessments. And I understand that you had a meeting of directors a month or so ago to talk about some of your questions or concerns about that. And so we wanted to give you an opportunity to do that with all of the RLT. And so we can address any concerns you may have and also start talking about some ideas for implementing these changes. I talked for quite a while with Melanie McGuire, who called your meeting of the meeting of directors a month or so ago and heard from her some of the things you talked about. So I am aware of those. I shared those with the RLT. One thing the RLT felt was that it might be helpful for you to have the same information we used when we were making this decision. So that's one of the first things we'd like to give you tonight is some of the data that we used and kind of the gist of our discussion and our reasoning behind this. And after that, then I'd like to open it up for comments, for questions. And at that point, I would, since there's so many of us, depending on how many of you have comments or questions, if you would use the raise hand emoji, we'll call on you as best we can with that, or you can simply raise your hand, or you can put your comments or questions in the chat. And then even if we don't get to all of them in this meeting, because we are limited to 1 hour, we will address them after this meeting and send them out. Does that sound okay? Like a plan?
Yep. Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Sounds good.
Right. I'm going to ask Jan, who prepared a lot of this data for us to review when we were talking about this at our retreat back in October. She has prepared to share with you so you can see where we were coming from, basically. So Jan, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okie doke. Well, I'll just get right into it. When we first started talking about this, we wanted to take a look at where we were in the world and where the rest of the world was in terms of assessments and convention and all of how people were funded. So fortunately for us, Sweet Adelines International asks us each year to fill out what we call a State of the Region survey. And there is a financial component to that survey that I and my compatriots complete as part of that. And it asks us the data that you see right here. So the size of our region, what our regional assessment or our regional dues are, what we charge for contest or convention, and whether or not convention is included in that assessment price together. There's also some additional data regarding whether there's considering an increase, and there were several regions that were considering an increase in addition to us, and whether some other educational things are included. But I consolidated it here for the purpose of this meeting. And I'll just run you down here to, here we are, North by Northwest Region 13. I knew it was going to do that. There we go. And you can see we were at $36 and $100 for contest. Any region that is not currently does not use US dollars, I converted that cost into based on the exchange rate the day that I did it. So things like Nordic Light, Southern Cross, New Zealand, those are approximations of their costs from their dollars. But as you can see, there's a lot of data here, and I don't expect you to be able to make sense of all of that just looking at it. But you can see that it ranges kind of all over the board, from $214 for contest to $55 for a regional assessment. It's really kind of all over the place. So what I'm going to do, instead of letting you look at all that, I'm going to have you take a look at that in summary form. So I think that's just the beginning of my, yeah. So what we took from all of that data was that we are the largest region in North America. The only regions that are larger than us are those that are entire countries or continents, like Australia and the Quartet of Nations in Great Britain. Here on our side of the pond, we are the largest region. But at the time, we were 22nd out of 24 regions in our assessment amount of $36 per year. When you added our convention fees with that assessment, we were 17 of 24. So still in the lower half of what the world is collecting to run their region. So that told us that we're probably our thought that we are really having a hard time keeping up financially. That helped us understand probably why. And we felt that we got some good validation based on looking at what our sister regions are doing. The average assessment amount was $74. The average convention cost for those that were separate was $98. So we could see our convention cost was right in the range. But our assessment costs were much lower than what other regions were taking a look at. So we also took a look at the data that asked whether or not they were combining convention along with the regional assessment. And there are currently 9 regions of the 24 that do that. And they are listed here. As I noted earlier, it is, what is it?
Right. Jan, we're not seeing a picture.
You're not. Well,
No, I was just going to say the same thing.
In a way.
I have stunning slides here and nobody's seeing it.
Oh, they're
Hey.
wonderful.
Beautiful faces, but no picture that you're showing.
Yeah.
All right, I know what happened. I have to be smarter than Zoom, which is, sorry. Let's try it again. How about now?
It's
Uh,
starting.
It's coming.
There we
There
go.
it is.
Okay,
Thank you.
sorry. Well, here, I'll go back and see, for those of you who are visual learners, you can see what I just said. 22 to 24, average $74, average convention 98. So here are the 9 regions that are currently combining their assessment, or as I like to notice, from the Redwood Forest to the New York Islands. There we go. So all across the United States, Canada and Sweden all do a combined assessment. Those combined assessments range from $145 to $250 a year. There was one outlier, Ontario, at $55. They were one of the regions that said they would be increased. They were considering an increase. So my guess is that it's higher. I'm nothing but impressed if they are doing their region and their convention at $55 a year. But everybody else was pretty much in that $150 to $250 range. Many of them have been doing it for a number of years. Region 11, I know for sure, having spoken to them, has done it for 10 years. So we felt good about the fact that this had been tried and true. People had implemented it, had done that. Everybody that we spoke with recommended the strategy that they felt that provided a lot more stability for the region. And while some had some initial challenges just with making the change is difficult in any circumstance, and certainly when you're talking about financial change. But I'll say now that it's their norm, it works well, they recommended it. So we got good information from other regions who are currently operating this way. But we also needed to take a look at our own data. And so I gathered some information regarding what we've looked like in the last few years. In May of 2020, we had 941 members, both CAL and chapter. In 2024, we now have 761 members. That number has stayed pretty flat for the last couple of years. We had a little bit of increase, but honestly, it hasn't increased really at all. Our May 2019 convention cost was approximately $62,000. We did not have a convention in 2020, so I did not use that same data. Our last convention was $65,500. So what we see there is that although our convention team has done an outstanding job of keeping convention costs essentially flat in an economy that is definitely increasing, where all the costs have gone up, and they've done a wonderful job of keeping our convention costs pretty consistent. Bottom line is that whether you're having a convention for 700 people or 900 people, it pretty much costs the same amount of money. And therein lies part of our issue. So I took a look at the registrations from the last convention, so we could see what the impact might be if we did implement such change. And what I learned was that 77% of our chapter members attended the 2024 convention. I don't have the statistic for the second data point. I'm so sorry, I couldn't find it in my notes. I think it's in the 90s, but most of those who didn't attend were from non-competing chapters, which makes sense. So if your chapter was competing, for the most part, most of those members attended. So we took a look. So given all that, with the final decision that was made to include a convention assessment of $108 into our regional assessment, and in addition to increasing the regional assessment from 36 to 60, that basically was a $32 per year increase for the vast majority of our region members. That's 77% who attend convention. And I also went back and looked at past years, and I didn't do all the math, but I could see the numbers were very consistent. So I'm thinking anywhere from 77 to 80% or more is about where we run in terms of our attendance. For those who do not attend convention, this increase results in an $11 per month increase or $132. So those were all of the things that we took a look at, and the data that we considered before we made the decision to make the assessment together with convention. I think that's everything. That's all I have, Sally, unless there's questions. You're muted, my friend.
Thank you.
Mhm.
That was, I think, very helpful. And I just want to add that we spent a great deal of time talking about this, reviewing that data, considering different options, what might happen, what might not happen. And in the end, felt it was in the best interest of our region as a whole going forward to make this change. It provides us with an exact amount. We know exactly what we have to put on a convention. It is not dependent on how many people attend, which has been very hard to predict. We plan a convention, which we're required to have, not knowing how many people will attend. So we may make money, we may not, we may lose money. It's always been a big question. This way we know exactly what we have to work with. Secondly, and I think Jan mentioned this, it gives our region some stability going forward. With the drop in membership, we have had a lot less revenue. That's basically the revenue for the region to provide all the things we do. And it was getting to the point where we were, this past year, we cut out a lot of things because our finances did not allow us to do some things that we're accustomed to doing, things that we want to do for our members. And thirdly, since we are required to have a contest, this way it seems fair that all members support that. And even those who don't attend in person have the option to watch it via the webcast, which this money helps put on. So they are supporting it in that way as well. So with all of that being said,
I think there was a question.
okay, I just see Amy has her hand up. So Amy, what is your question?
So my question from your last comment, because these monies do go to help the on video, because we in Fairbanks can't afford to come every year. I mean, we don't have the option of driving. We don't have a lot of, I mean, we have Alaska Airlines and sometimes we have Delta. So, you know, we're pretty limited, and we're gouged, for lack of a better word, a lot of times because we are limited. So if you know, since all of this is happening, what do we get? I mean, so I know in the past that if we wanted to watch convention on the website, you know, or watch it live, we had to pay a fee. Is that fee no longer going to be relevant because we've already paid our all events tickets then?
That's an excellent question, and it's something we did not make a decision about that at our meeting, but we have talked about that it seems unfair to have you pay that fee, you know, the inclusive fee, and then still have to pay for the webcast. So we have not officially made that decision, but I think it's likely that that will happen because that makes sense. Thanks for asking that.
Just a reminder, though, that does not take effect until 2026, though.
Correct.
I just want to make sure
Yeah.
that they're aware it's not this year.
Yeah, thank you for that. Because we also tried to push this out far enough so that everyone has time to make adjustments, changes, and come up with a plan to address it.
Cindy has it. Yeah, can you see that? Okay,
Okay, I thought Cindy had her hand up.
she did. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Cindy?
Oh, right now, the legacy and the lifetime members do not pay the regional assessment. So will that amount in 26 be reduced by the $60 for those members?
Jan?
Yes. So legacy and lifetime members will continue to not pay the regional assessment portion. They will pay the convention portion.
Same with legacy.
Correct.
Thank you.
If you were not if you were waived before, you will be waived that portion moving forward. We didn't change any of that piece.
Thank you.
So the chapters will be billed this lesser amount for those members.
Well, I see Chuck needs to leave us, so thank you for being here. And we'll catch up with you down the road. Thank you.
I am recording this, so I'll send the link out for everybody
Okay,
tomorrow
great.
that you can share with. people.
And I see in the chat Denise has a question.
She's
My
shaking her
question
head no.
was already answered. Thank you.
You got the answer already? Okay, great.
Yes, thank you.
Anyone else? I can't see the second page, so.
Arlene has her hand
Arlene?
up.
Hi, we have a couple of members that are, what we call associate members. They pay, they don't pay dues to us, but they are on the regional website and they pay their international dues through us. Basically, these are people that are like on leave or, they, are part of a quartet. And so they don't want to, they don't sing with us, but they will be going to international or regional, which is fine. They would have to pay the what do you call it anyway? That's not a problem. But we have two people. One is Bev Stats, who has been a member of AJOY for God knows how many years. It's probably 70 at this point. She is on our roster. But she's a lifetime member. And I still think she pays, she doesn't pay dues, but she pays, I think, I don't know if she pays regional assessment, but she would not be coming to contest. She doesn't even live here. I think something like that we shouldn't have to pay for her, or she shouldn't have to pay for that. Because she's not participating, or it's not a question of whether she wants to come or not come. It's a question that she just does it because she just likes us, She got to belong someplace. So that would be part of it. We have a couple of people also who are on leave of absence, who are paying half dues. And these people probably would not come to contest either. So do we still have to pay for them? Or do they still have to pay for the, what do you call it? The regional
assessment.
or the assessment?
The assessment. You're not the only chorus that has some unique membership situations like that. And Jan, I'm going to refer to you again. She's much more familiar with the different categories and what's required.
That's fine.
Yes. The short answer to your question is yes, all members, regardless of status, will pay what we're calling and a fair share assessment is what we're calling it. And I'm trying very hard to get away from the idea of comparing it to an all events ticket, because it isn't based upon whether you are attending convention. It's simply based upon whether you are a member of the region, and the region as a whole is going will now support the contest and the implementation of convention. And there will be some of those circumstances that are going to be a little dicey, and then maybe that we want to find different ways of helping those people still be members of our chorus. And perhaps in the case of the one member you spoke about, perhaps she goes member at large, but still stays affiliated with your chorus through email and through without necessarily having to pay for the region dues. She can still be a member of Sweet Adeline, still be part of your chorus in any way she is, versus necessarily being a member of the region if she didn't want to pay the assessment. I think there's some ways we can manage some of those things, but there people who are on leave, associate members, they will be impacted. And we knew that going in, that there were going to be some members who were more impacted than others. To make exceptions, however, becomes
Nightmarish.
a nightmare. CAL members are another piece. Chapter at large members are much the same, that don't attend, many of them do not attend convention unless they're competing. So this will be an increase for them as well. And we knew that, and we know that that'll be difficult. So I think trying to be a little, perhaps finding some creative new membership ways of acknowledging some of those members. I know there are some chapters that do it differently. I know Helena Express has some different ways that they manage those legacy members. And Sandy Smith could probably talk to that. But I think there are some other ways we could do that if you feel really strongly that you don't want to lose your tie with those members, but they really can't or will not pay that portion.
So if a member is Cal or Mal, then they would also have to pay the assessment?
Not Mal, because they're not a member of the region.
Okay,
Members at large are just international.
okay.
But anybody who's a member of our region, so that's whether they're full member, associate member, Cal member, everybody.
Okay.
Everybody pays their fair share.
That answer your question?
Yep.
Right. Hear that. Thank you. Beth Ann?
You're muted. Oh, there you go.
Hello. So to step away just for a minute from the membership piece, so would this extra funding give us maybe more latitude to move convention from east side to west side, up and down kind of thing? What are the benefits to the members for this increase, I guess is what I'm looking for.
It's kind of, I'm not sure that the location of contest is particularly related to the assessment, but I would like Patty, who I think is on, I thought I saw Patty, there you are. Like, would you speak to what's happening with looking at some other contest venues, please?
Absolutely. We have been reaching out to other cities. The problem is finding not only a venue that it becomes a performing arts center, but also in a proximity where we can house all the members that are attending. We have currently reached out to 2 different cities, and they told me they would get back to me in January. I know it's January, but I think people get back to work next week. And so we're looking at venues in Eastern Washington. We have looked into the Seattle area. King County is so cost prohibitive. The Portland area is cost prohibitive. We've looked at many. So what we're trying to do is keep the budget in line and not go over. So we are looking at some other areas at this point in time, but sorry, Beth Ann, we don't currently have a steadfast answer for that. Hopefully by the end of this month, I will hear back from those locations we've reached out to.
Other questions? Denise?
First of all, I want to commend Jan for putting this all together. I like that you made the comment that you're trying to get away from having it as a convention assessment and more of a general assessment that will allow regional members to maybe access more classes or events on learning and education, which, you know, we all want to do. And even if some of those are included in Zoom for our outlying choruses, I think that's an easier way to approach the charges in 26 that we're all looking at, and how we're going to approach it with our choruses and presenting it to them and the increase. So I like that idea of telling our chorus members this is what it is, not just, yes, along with this charge, you do get your convention AET covered, but it's also an envelope covering so many other charges that the region is experiencing. So I like that idea, and I think that might be a nice way for some of us to approach our members on that. The other part of it is, if this assessment works well and we have more income coming in as a region, would the convention look different down the road? You know, I've been a Sweet Adeline now for 5 years, but I come from Harmony Incorporated, and our convention would include a big banquet dinner, and that was included in the AET. So maybe down the road, that could be part of it. So a meal is included for everybody, or something along those lines. Because we would build that. I was facilities, so so we would include the meal. We would also include a lot more educational classes. Like, we're paying the judges to be there. Part of the payment to the judges was that they had to do a class, and we offered more classes. Now, because I've only been here 5 years, and convention was kind of null for a couple of those years, this was my first year to experience convention. So I don't know if you've offered more classes traditionally. I know this year it was like 1 class. So I'm just curious, looking forward, what the team is thinking. Like, are any of these options going to be something that we can promote to the members, saying, well, we're doing this now, it's going to be a little hit in 26, but it's going to give us this, this, and this down the road. So I'd like your input.
Well, that's an excellent question. And honestly, the RLT has, having made this decision recently, we haven't fleshed out all that might happen. However, all of the things you mentioned, I think, are possible. We would love to do that. You know, our whole organization is focused on education, and I believe our region has done a great job of providing a lot of educational opportunities, and we would love to do more. So absolutely. Might we include more at convention? We would love to. You might remember from this convention, and not sure what things you participated in, but almost every minute is scheduled with something going on. So the schedule is quite full. That doesn't mean we couldn't switch things up in some way. And these are ideas we would love to hear those ideas from new members. What's missing? What would you like? What new things could we try that you think people would enjoy? So thank you for that question, and keep your ideas coming. We appreciate that. Sandy,
Maybe.
do you have anything to add about that as far as the education? Sandy is our education coordinator, Sandy Smith.
Yeah, I'm taking rapid notes.
Okay.
And taking that back to my education team, but it's also going to depend upon the time that we have available at convention. So we have to work really closely with the convention team. So great suggestions, and hopefully we can work out some more education at convention. We'll see.
Sally, maybe Patty can talk about some of the ideas that the convention team has come up with as far as what might go on next year.
Right. They've already started meeting and talking about making some changes for next year. We'll give it over to Patty again.
Okay. Yes. First of all, I wanted to thank everyone who's here for completing the end of convention survey. A lot of the ideas and moving forward came from the survey, so we totally appreciate that. Some of the things that are going to be different and I think better include there's going to be a room on Saturday evening Afterglow that will be designated for choruses and quartets to perform. So, and if any of you love to MC, we are currently looking for an MC for that activity on Saturday night, and just contact me and we'll put you in there. The other thing is, and Paula Davis is the director coordinator for the region, and we have decided that we will have Sunday morning with judges, and this activity was previously just for directors and judges, and we are going to, it's not going to be a breakfast, it's a meet and greet, and all members of the region will be invited to attend that. Another one is we had time delays And so we are moving the green room where the judges go for their breaks, etc., closer to where the pit is, so that we don't have that extra time for them getting on an elevator and walking through the convention center. So we're looking at that. And another thing is, we had some people say that the traffic in the third floor breezeway was so congested at times because we had choruses coming off and going back to the hotel, and choruses getting ready to go on stage. And we are actually going to have some signage, and there will be lanes. And if you're going to the convention center, you go on one lane, and if you're coming out, you go on the other. So that will really help alleviate that big problem. And the one that I really appreciate, and I'm sure anyone who is vertically challenged will appreciate, is we are going to make sure that the seating in the convention hall is staggered. So you don't have to look over a person's head who is 6'3". And I think I have some things that we have put together in as far as cutting the budget again this year. If you would like to hear that, I'd be more than happy to share some of those things with you.
I think that this is a good time to do that. One or two.
All
maybe?
righty. So the convention team primarily meets on Zoom. We have one in-person meeting per year. The people who are attending that meeting this year are the events coordinator, the chair of the regional convention, the CC, and the facilities acquisition specialist. So,
And the CC is?
Competition coordinator. Good.
So, anyways, those are the only 4 people out of an 8-member team that will be having an in-person meeting. At that meeting, we actually meet with the hotel facilities and the convention center facilities to get exactly where we're going to be, when we're going to be there, set up all of that. Denise is on the screen, and she is our guru in facilities acquisition and does a fabulous job. So thanks, Denise. Again, a budget cut. There is not going to be a breakfast for the judges and directors. That takes some money off. We are eliminating candid photos. The photographer will only photograph Friday contest and Saturday contest. Okay. So we did not have a lot of people purchase those candid photos, but we still had to pay for the photographer to be there and available for that. Let's see. Oh, you probably noticed last year we did not have a fancy glossy program like we've had in the past, and that's a huge cost savings for the region. We will, however, change it up this year in that we are going to print the quartet contest on one sheet back to back, so you have more room to write comments on when you're viewing the contest. And then the next day for chorus contest, we'll be doing the same thing. Those flyers will be available as you enter the contest venue at the doors. We will not be mailing the AETs, all events tickets, to the choruses. Those tickets, and we'll save on the mailing fees. And those tickets will be available at registration. We will sort them by chorus. So we hope that each chorus sends one representative and then distributes those AETs once they get to contest. And I think that's it right now. So we've been working very, very hard to make sure that the money we are getting, we can accommodate all of you. So
thank you, Patty.
you're welcome.
So I know some of the finance coordinators from your courses have met with Jan. They have quarterly meetings and they have already met and talked about the assessment and how to implement it. And some of them have some very great ideas for how to help fund that, help their members fund it, fundraise and pay for it. And I wonder if any of you have also spoken with your leadership teams or your finance person and talked about how you might implement this. Is there anyone who has some ideas that you might share with other choruses as far as how to help cover that?
Charlene.
Seeing none. Cherie, I can't see everybody on the.
And I see Charlene too.
Okay, cool. Cherie.
So thanks to Jan Smallwood and Diana Jordan, they reeled me in talking about this Raise Right fundraising platform. And so we had a meeting, and then last week I had a subsequent meeting with Diana Jordan, and I have about not slept since that meeting, creating presentations and everything to present to my choruses. It seems almost too good to be true, this platform. And it's so much more than just being able to get gift cards to help defray costs. It really is. It's an incredible opportunity to raise thousands of dollars a year for your choruses. And so
Cherie, would you just briefly say what it is? How it
the Raise Rights, it started out a different company name many years ago, where you could just go on and sort of like your chorus would order gift cards for certain companies like Red Robin restaurants, or for different restaurants and different clothing stores, or the Gap, or different things. They would like order them once a year, let's say, and then you would make them a fundraiser, and you'd order them for gifts for your family or whatever. And that's kind of what Spirit of Spokane has done for many years. And we make about $500 a year doing this. And then talking to Jan and Diana, they're just like, no, you're not, no. You're not using it to its full capacity. And so then I learned that you can go online and buy things like if you go on cruises, Princess has, you could go online for the one-way cruise to Alaska for set 2026, for example. Princess Cruises is part of Raise Right. That's a whole lot of money, and your chorus could make a whole lot of money. For example,
Disney is on it.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
Disney is on it.
Take your grandkids to Disney and make money for your chorus.
Home Depot and Lowe's. So if you're getting ready to do a large home renovation, you could go on there, and then there's like incentives. Like, so if you go in and buy a Home Depot gift card, but then you go to Home Depot and buy through Home Depot, or then you make it double points or double the percentage or an increased percentage. And so then you make even more money. Yeah, Amazon is on there. There's grocery stores, gas stations. I mean, you literally, Hulu is on there. If you do streaming, if you do Hulu and Paramount Plus and things that I just created a presentation that literally for your basic monthly expenses that you would spend money on anyway, you could do it all through Raise Right, not spend any more money, and your chorus would make money. And then it's up to your chorus whether they decide, are they going to then share that and create like a general fund where you make some of that money back toward your general account, if you will, to be applied toward your dues.
So
for instance, in Olympia, we are going to implement that 50% of what you raise personally will go toward your dues. So if you raise the whole amount, you don't pay dues. So that will help alleviate the added costs of the region. So, and it will make more money for the chorus, because right now we do raise right, but don't have enough people participating. This will incentivize them because it will directly benefit them, and it will directly benefit the chorus as well.
So
And I think-
Jan, what if you raise more than what your dues are? What happens to the members'
Then I think
over amount?
if I get to that point, Cindy, I will figure it out. But
Well, I can talk about
So
that.
happy.
I can talk about
Alaska
that.
is now.
I will share that Alaska Sound Celebration has been doing this for about 5 years, maybe 6. I don't remember how long. Last fiscal year we made $3,400 as a whole, and $1,700 went into our general fund, and $1,700 went to the 5 or 6 members who generally use it all the time to help offset their dues. I have currently a negative balance of $200 in my dues account because my personal account, because I haven't had to pay dues for several months because I keep going with it. And so it just keeps creating, my dues are charged every month. And then I put more, I administer more towards, I use it more. And so I get a few more dollars back. So, but with that, say next year, if I still have that same $108 for the fair share assessment, she will just apply that charge right to my dues and I won't pay anything for it. So it's already paid for. So each chorus can do it however they want, but that's what ASC has done. And it's a good, it's easy to do. So lots of information out there about it.
I
Now-
see
Incentive.
Lindsay has put the website in the chat. Thank you, Lindsay.
Yep, Lindsay did. Yep.
We
It
had
looks
a
like other courses use it as well.
So we talked about this at our last finance coordinators meeting. We are doing a fundraiser spotlight at each one of our meetings. And so Raise Right was our spotlight for October. And many of your finance coordinators were there, but some of your coordinators weren't there. I would highly encourage your finance coordinators to attend. Our next meeting is January 25th. If I may do just a small commercial for my own personal finance is at January 25th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. This will be our 3rd meeting. We are having great conversations. You're welcome to come as well as team leaders. Directors, I don't know, but
Oh, let them come.
Team leaders have their own meeting on, I think it's the 19th, right?
There you go. So what we are hoping to highlight a fundraising idea every quarter, more if they have it. So this month coming up, or this Sound Harmony is going to be talking about their fundraising. So that we can talk about different ways we can alleviate some costs to members as well as cost to chorus. Olympia has made some decisions to pay for some of that contest cost automatically and not moving on to members. Very small percentage. We're going to guarantee we're going to pay I think $1 of it, and then we can pay more if we want, and then let members use again 50% of their Raise Right proceeds. So we're trying to find ways to make less impact upon members, but still make sure that the region can put on convention. So I really think that's the best way we can move forward. And when I get together with the team, it's amazing the ideas that are coming from it, and just it's incredible. So feel free to come and join that conversation, because the more people are there, the better ideas we're going to get.
Thank you. Charlene, did I miss earlier that you had a comment or a question?
Yeah, this is all wonderful stuff and very, very exciting. And I just have to say thank you to everybody, the RLT and all of you for what you're doing behind the scenes. It's incredible. And I just have a selfish question to ask.
Okay.
When Patty was talking about how we used to have the judge and directors breakfast on Sunday mornings and whatnot. Now we're going to change it to a meet and greet, which I think is incredible. I think that's great that the members get to meet and greet and be with the judges. being selfish, I just have to ask, will there be an opportunity during that meet and greet to have to ask questions to the judges? I have loved the director judge morning conversations. I've learned so much, and I'm just hoping that somehow that will be continued, or if there's time at the meet and greet.
I'm not sure. Paula or Patty? Have you addressed that at all?
I think that that's something we can work on. I think this year we had to make some financial decisions, and this was a better way for us to go. And also, I have been in some other regions that do it for the general membership, and it was very well attended, and the members really appreciated it too. However, with that in mind, we may, maybe we'll be able to do it every other year, or maybe we'll dedicate the first 30 minutes to directors only and give an hour to the membership. Or, I'm not sure, but we can certainly keep that in mind, because if directors love it.
I agree. I think the members should have the opportunity to meet the judges and all that. I think it's very, very important. But I also will say I really have gotten so much out of the judge and director thing. It's like another educational class for me. So I appreciate that.
Okay, thank you for that comment. We have about 10 minutes left. I'm wondering if there are any other questions or comments, concerns, outbursts. I'm not seeing any hands. I didn't see anything in the chat, I don't believe, that was asking a question.
Oh, Cheryl has a question.
Okay, Cheryl.
Is the procedure for getting everybody registered and everything going to be a little simpler than it was, at least for me?
Okay.
Okay.
The simple answer is yes.
Yes.
Is that Michelle? Okay.
No, that's me.
Oh, okay.
And I know what she's talking about. She's talking about me.
Oh,
It was a challenge. I'm telling you, no matter what I did, like 4 or 5 emails, and you didn't get this done.
Yes, we've simplified that this year.
Okay, thank you.
sorry you had a bad experience, but
We got it done.
we got it done.
We
And
were-
we're
way to
all
go,
getting
Carol.
more used to the new financial software, and things are working a lot more smoothly. So hopefully that won't happen again.
Excellent.
Kathy.
Yes.
I want to thank Patty and her committee for their due diligence. It's quite impressive. I can't even imagine the level of detail of planning. I do want to say, though, that I'm hoping that with this new assessment, that and it sounds like it's happening, but I just want to make sure that we don't say, oh, now we've got, this revenue coming in and we can, shoot for the moon. And then guess what? We're back here in another 2 years raising it again. So I really appreciate them working so hard to keep it affordable and within a prescribed budget. And I understand that you'll have a better idea of what the budget will be, at least for 2026. But I think we just have to be a little careful about that and very prudent with that money.
I couldn't agree more. And thank you for that comment. And one of our values as an RLT is financial responsibility. And we do take that very seriously, which is kind of what brought about this whole discussion in the first place. So thank you. And we intend to be good stewards of your money. We feel we have been, and we intend to keep it that way. Thank you. Cindy.
So this isn't really coming from me, but from a couple of our chorus members who I've talked with about this increase. Their question was, in addition to having more money coming in from each of our members, is there not a way of sort of like downsizing the grandeur of our contests? Instead of spending big money on the convention center or something, I don't know anything about how the men do their contests, but apparently they use school gymnasiums and, that sort of thing. So I'm just passing along a question. Is there a possibility of kind of cutting back on the grandeur, I guess, of where we sing and what our contests are like? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And I'm going to ask of both Patty and Paula. I know there are some requirements that we have to meet as far as lighting, sound, and all of that. And some high school auditoriums, not all of them are equipped at that level. So there is that. But Patty or Paula, can you speak to that?
Well, I understand what you're saying, and that's the path we're on right now, Cindy, is to find places that are less expensive. But again, and Paula can allude to this, we do have requirements that we have to stick with, and as far as SAI is concerned. And the other thing is our contests tend to be in April or May, and schools are in session then, and schools have first choice. And so we might be able to get something for lesser cost, but if a school, they have bumping rights. So if all of a sudden they get an invitation to host a basketball tournament, they could bump us, and we have to have our plan in place far in advance.
Thank you.
If I could just add to that, she's exactly right. Schools, a lot of them don't even open their calendar to you until the school year is beginning. And so since we have to book in advance, that's not even possible with many educational systems. As far as what the judges need, it's not necessarily what we need, but what makes it best for the competitor. The thing is, you have to have a backstage pattern that your ensemble can get through comfortably without, a lot of impediments or having to come from all over the place. You have to have a place. You have to have a place to put the judges. Sorry, you may not want us there, but they do have to have a place to sit and be able to write. The size of the stage, we could hold it outside, but it's not very fun for the singer because you can't hear. So there are things that we just need to consider for the comfort and satisfaction of the competitor as well. And that's our main job as judges, is to make sure the competitors are as comfortable as they can be in that contest setting. But if somebody wrote that we're having our contest outside, we might not approve that. Because no. So anyway.
Yeah, I appreciate all of that. And it makes a lot of sense. Plus, there's nothing like standing on a beautiful stage and singing to an audience. So I appreciate the work that you guys go through to make this all happen. Thank you.
Thanks, Cindy. Dottie, I thought I saw your hand up.
Yes, I think I missed something along the line. What is going to be the total cost for the regional assessment for this year and next year?
This year will be $60.
60. Okay, thank you.
For eligible member, anybody who was legacy or lifetime will be waived as they always
Right, I understand that, but then
in 2026, then there will be an additional $108 added to that.
okay, that's what I needed to know.
And that $108 will apply to legacy and lifetime.
Okay.
But their $60 will still remain.
But that, yeah, okay, so that's legacy and lifetime as well. Okay. That's what I needed to know. Thank you so much.
Our time is about up. Again, thank you so much for being here, for your questions. If you still have questions or any time down the line, any member of the RLT would be happy to try to answer them or find someone who can. So please reach out to us. That's what we're here for. And I would like to thank the RLT also for for your participation, for having information ready to share. Thank you so much. And I wish you all a happy new year and look forward to seeing you, well, I guess it's a few months at convention, if not sooner. And thank you again.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
RLT, don't leave.